This is Keith Gleason, host of Indie Comics Relay, creator of the Mighty Mascots, and I'm here with another comic review. Before I get into that, just a reminder, Mighty Mascots 7, 8, and 9 still in demand on Indiegogo. We are heading into the final issue and on our course to our summer release. So we're definitely doing it. Yeah, art's coming in left and right, which is great. And we have all the perks are ready to go. So the higher we go money-wise, the more perks that'll be added, and all that fun stuff. So if you haven't backed it, check the link below in the description of the video and check it out. All right. Thank you guys so much. All right. On to this week's comic review. So I'm reviewing Frank Miller's Ronin Book 2, issue number 1. This is a sequel to the Frank Miller's original Ronin series put out by DC Comics back in 1983, which is crazy to think about. And so this is a sequel. So let's get into the credits of the book. So this book is created, written, and layouts by Frank Miller. Art is by Phillip Tan and Daniel Henriquez, lettered by John Workman. And artist producer is Celine Thomas, I think is how you say it. And so, short summary of the story. I'm going to read this right off of Frank Miller's description on the website. Frank Miller returns to one of the most critically praised and influential body of works, Ronin. The 6-part miniseries follows the original work and takes Casey and her newborn son across the ravaged landscape of America. With layouts by Miller, the beautiful panoramic art by Phillip Tan and Daniel Henriquez captures all the energy and excitement of the original series, taking the characters and world into a direction all its own, not to be missed. So yeah, the short summary kind of sums it up. With, I want to get into the story a little bit, but I don't want to spoil it for anybody. It's funny. So the first issue gives you just enough to whet your appetite and it makes you want more, especially if you're a Miller fan. I didn't remember. So I've read Ronin a bunch of times over the years, like first time probably in high school back in, like 1986. This is a couple years after it came out. Liked it then. And then I've read it, I think once since then, and then once again recently. And I think this last time I read, which was this past week, I liked Ronin a lot more than I've ever have liked it. I mean, I've always liked it, but I see the genius of it more now than I did back when I first read it. You could tell this was, it's definitely in like his Daredevil era, when Frank Miller was doing Daredevil. It has a lot of that martial arts, samurai stuff that that Miller was famous for in Daredevil, and it also helped kind of spawn Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with Eastman and Laird, who loved all that stuff at the time. So it's kind of cool. This is a good sequel so far. Like I really like the first issue, and it's the same kind of format that the original miniseries was. So the original miniseries was 6 issues. This one is 6 issues as well. It looks like it's bi-monthly. It's a prestige format, although it doesn't have the prestige binding. It's 56 pages according to the website. It's black and white. It's a little pricey. It's $7.99. But I say if you're a Frank Miller fan, and if you like the original Ronin stuff, I think you'll like this a lot. This newer format for Ronin, it reminded me a lot of Sin City, the way it's done, where it's black and white, but it has, color, like as far as the word balloons in this are colored, which is interesting. It gives it kind of an interesting, cool look. The other thing that I think is really cool about this is I was never a big fan of Frank. I like his storytelling and his writing a lot, but I was never a big fan of his art. I always, even with the original Ronin miniseries, I found some of it hard to follow. And it was very confusing, some of the artwork. And I think, like, for me with Frank Miller, I think the best I've ever liked his artwork was actually on Sin City. The way he merged black and white in like a 2D design was really awesome, especially in that original miniseries with Marv and those scenes with the rain coming down on him. That stuff is great. I mean, I would love to own an artwork of that, like on my wall, you know. But as far as the storytelling and other stuff like Dark Knight Returns and then Ronin and the original Ronin, it's just I never loved it, you know. So this, though, I think is a great way to do it. This miniseries, this new one for Ronin 2. So Frank Miller did the layout. So you have those awesome Frank Miller, like 2-page, most of this book is 2-page spreads, which I forgot to mention, which is, you know, very cool looking. But he laid out a lot of it. And then Phillip Tan came in and did, and Daniel Henriquez came in and finished it. And it's really nice looking, really easy to follow. A lot of action. I would say, yeah, I really like this new approach to, you know, if you put Frank Miller, lay everything out and write it and bring someone else in to finish it. It's really nice looking. And this is the first issue from the Frank Miller Presents imprint, which is a new small press company that was started by Frank Miller and Dan DiDio, who used to be with DC Comics. And they've put out a couple books. This was the first one of the bunch, but they also have a YA one called Pandora, and there's another one that Dan DiDio is doing called Ancient Enemies, I think. I've bought that one, but I haven't read it yet. I might wait till I get that whole mini series. Same thing with the rest of this book, actually. I'm going to wait till I get all 6 and then sit down and read Ronin all in a row. The other thing that struck me about this one is it feels like it's a sequel to the original, but it also has it feels like more like a lone wolf and cub kind of vibe to it. You know, kind of like, you know, where Mandalorian was lone wolf and cub, you know, so it feels kind of like that, where it's, you know, Casey with her child, you know, and it's got that really cool feel. And it also looks like Aquarius or Virgo from the first miniseries, which is the computer system that is also got, I think it was called like biotechnology, is also seems to have taken over the world. And there's, you know, the more demons like in the first one and everything, you know, so it's good. It seems like a good spiritual continuation of the original, which is very nice. Do I recommend? Yes. I thought this was great. There's not enough. It just gives you enough to kind of hook you in and then want to come back, you know? So it is pricey though. So I think that kind of hurts it, but you know, it's Frank Miller. So you're paying for quality with this, and it's a lot of pages, like 56, but you got to keep in mind that half of that is 2-page spreads, but they're beautiful. Like if you really like beautiful artwork, and I think you'll like Ronin Book too. So I would recommend it. And I would recommend checking out Frank Miller Presents, the small press company. I think with Dan DiDio behind them and Frank Miller bringing in new people, this could be a nice little new publisher that's out there, you know. The other thing that's great is I looked on their website. They got all kinds of stuff coming, like Sin City sequels and prequels, and so I think it's going to be a cool company in a year or two, you know. So check that out. This is the ground level. You just got to get in on Ronin too, you know. So and also, you know, the first one thing I forgot to mention, the first half of the book kind of does a wrap, or, you know, a summary of the original miniseries, although I don't feel it was like enough of a summary. So I kind of recommend rereading Ronin if it's kind of fuzzy in your memory. It'll help you understand the new one a lot better. So that's a little advice from me to you. But all right, yeah. So thumbs up on Ronin Book 2. I would recommend that. But yeah, it's different from anything out there right now. So check it out. All right, everybody. Thank you for checking out the review. Me and Johnny will be back live next week with some more guests as usual. we're talking about moving to Monday. We're going to stick to Tuesday right now because I booked a lot of guests on Tuesday for the next month or so. But I'm thinking we might move to Mondays. Mondays seem pretty good. So we had a decent audience like usual. And so let us know what you think of that. All right. Well, have a great week. Read some comics. All right, everybody. Have a good one. Thanks.